something that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on in this podcast, but we wanted to jump to it right now. Kyle was an XXL freshman last year, and now I think I got one XXL freshman correct. And even on last week's pod, I thought I got one right. T Grizzly, who was not on there.
Right.
So, for the last couple of years, you've been quizzing me on who I think will be XXL freshman this year. And usually to not so great, not success, I'll say. But XXL freshman 2018, I'm feeling ready for this. So kind of lay it out for those who might be new listeners or aren't aware of XXL freshman. Why should we care about this?
Yeah. So XXL Mag, both a website and a magazine, is a long-running hip-hop publication, like The Source, that has been around a long time. And while the influence of traditional hip-hop publications have certainly waned, heck, even like the internet era blogs, their influence is waned too, XXL itself really just exists now for this list, because what it is it's basically a cosign of the next stars in hip hop. That's the idea anyway. It's a magazine cover of around 10 people that XXL is saying these are the ones you should care about because they got next, right? Mm-hmm. And it's been going ever since 2007, so it's a long running thing. And as of someone who likes history, I think like the record of hip hop in terms of like when artists kind of got acknowledged, or in some cases acknowledged too late, by XXL is really cool. And generally speaking, everyone who's popping right now, who's been around a long time, was a freshman, minus a few exceptions. So I think it's an honor that while in the age of social media and SoundCloud, you don't necessarily need this to get big and have a good career, I think it's still a positive for every rapper. Drake wasn't on it, neither was Nicki Minaj, but virtually everyone else you can think of in rap today was on the cover. So I think, it's company you want to keep.
XXentacion, yes or no?
Yeah, he was on there last year alongside your guy A Boogie and Playboy Cardi, who we reviewed last week as well.
All right, so I have a couple people I think are going to be on it this year. Now, when does this drop, or has it dropped?
So they've definitely already done the done the cover. It's already decided. They shoot the ciphers and stuff. It's a big week on their YouTube channel and their website. But it's gonna drop probably. It's certainly their June cover. That's the assumption. It's been the June cover the past few years.
All right. So I'm gonna throw a couple names out there, and you tell me if these are people that will or will not be on it. Our guy, Rich Brian.
I hope so. I don't think he's a lock, unfortunately, but he should be there. He's definitely worthy. For sure.
Why would he not be a lock? I mean, his first album was pretty good.
I agree. And I think so. I think an important thing to think about with this list is, a lot of people, you'll see this in comments. Everyone has an opinion on this one way or the other, but you need to have a certain body of work, I think, to get on here. Certain times people get thrown out there and they just don't have enough songs yet. Like T Grizzly last year was hot, but you didn't have enough there yet. Making him wait the extra year was smart, I think. Same thing for Ski Mask, on the guy we reviewed last week. But Rich Brian is actually pretty popular. His songs do numbers, especially on YouTube, and he has a good project that I think is kind of proof that he should last. But he's not as popular as some other people, and unfortunately the popularity contest angle to it I think kind of factors into XXL's decisions nowadays, because they want people talking about the list, they want people driving traffic to their site. So unfortunately they're not as apt to pick more obscure artists just because they're not known enough for the money angle, unfortunately. But Rich Brian should be in the mix, but I think the bigger topic to that is just that it's a good class. There's going to be worthy people that won't make it. Yeah.
All right, so the next guy I think is definitely a lock. Tokyo. His album was fire.
Again, Tokyo is unfortunately not mainstream enough that I don't think he's got it.
Wow.
Really all those Chicago guys, Saba, Smino, Joey Purpp, No Name. I think they're just in that internet popularity, but they're not well known enough in mainstream hip hop that I don't see it. It's unfortunate. Of course, Tokyo is the type of artist that XXL should want to prop up and help grow. but I just don't see that one, unfortunately. Of course, he's worthy.
Yeah, WWW was a great album. We reviewed it. Check that out. SoundCloud.com/Nowstalgia Stay plugin. All right, you mentioned them. T Grizzly, Ski Mask. I think that they have to be locks. T Grizzly was almost on it last year, so he's got to be on it this year, and probably same for Ski Mask, right?
Yeah, same thing. Like, so Ski Mask, people are like, oh, you put on XXL, you didn't put on Ski Mask. Well, Ski Mask wasn't quite there yet. You have to make him wait again. It's something to do with Cardi. Like, Cardi was right there with 21 and Yachty and Kodak and Uzi in 2016, but Cardi didn't quite have enough music yet, so they made him wait till 2017. It's kind of same thought. So yeah, T Grizzly and Ski Mask. The only reason these two are not on the list this year is if they decline it for some reason. They should be there. They're absolute locks.
All right. What about, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this, SOBRB?
Right. So they don't do groups on the list.
Okay.
Migos and Ray Shremmerd were never on the list. Brockhampton won't be there, and neither will SOB XRB.
Gotcha. Okay. Nav?
So Nav actually, we assume that it's because XXL passed him over and he found out. But Nav like talked mad shit about the list like a month ago, released this song called Freshman List, and was like, nah, fuck that, you don't need this shit. And then Quavo chimed, was like, yeah, you don't need it. They didn't pick us either. I was like, Quavo, they don't put groups on the cover because they can't fit enough people on the magazine cover. It's just a schematic thing. But also Nav, like, the reason you got passed over is because I don't know if Nav is a worthwhile pick. Like, yes, he's got some popularity. He's signed EXO. He's got the Weeknd co-sign. But do you ever see anything good coming from Nav? He hasn't released good projects. He only has that one flow. I don't see the benefit of putting Nav on the list, you know?
Okay.
So I'm actually happy that he decided to get salty about it, because I think he was kind of a wasted spot, because he kind of is what he is already.
Damn. Okay, so I might only be like 2 out of possible 10 so far.
Well, you're mentioning people that were in the convo at least.
Right. Okay, so this guy, my guy Tucci Gang, Lil Pump. I know it's really Gucci Gang, but Tucci Gang, way better. He's got to be on it, right?
Right. So yeah. Lil Pump, there was actually some thought maybe Lil Pump would turn it down, because, I mean, Lil Pump has that $8 million deal from Atlantic. He's by far the most famous and wealthiest person of the people that will be on this list. But yeah, he should be on there. Gucci Gang went to number 3. His next song after that, Get It, debuted at 24. And he also has more Instagram followers than Kendrick Lamar. Like, he is a mega star, but he's also very new. So I still think he would qualify as a freshman. And from what we know from some leaks from DJ Academics, he did actually go through the cover, which I think is good, because like or hate Lil Pump, he's a fucking star. And part of this list is the next stars. But on the other hand, Lil Pump does not need this promo at all. So it is taking a spot from someone who would probably use it better. But yeah, he's worthy.
Well, I'm kind of out. You know, I don't really know who else could be on this list. Educate me on this.
Right. So
who are your picks?
Yeah, so I think Block Boy JB is a pretty good pick. Obviously, his song "Look Alive" with Drake peaked at number 3. He just released "Simi" a few weeks ago, his 7th mixtape. So he has the body of work. He has a hit song. He has the cosign, but he's also still really new. Like, not all those tapes got a lot of traction. So I think he's kind of like the perfect spot for getting it on it. And apparently he made the list already from what we know from the leaks. So I think Block Boy's a good pick, because he really came into consciousness like really recently, but he also actually does have a body of work already. He's not like a total flash in the pan.
So just kind of from what you're saying with someone like that, I hear him having this one really big hit, and that matters more than like someone like Tokyo, who has like a solid album, but maybe not a hit that brings a ton of acclaim.
Right. Well, I mean, unfortunately, that probably matters more to XXL, because they want people to buy the magazine and click on the website, you know? Okay. On the other hand, making a hit probably gives you better odds of making more hits in the future. You know, you can see both ways to it, but I mean, I think Tokyo's a better artist than Block Boy JB, no doubt about that. But yeah, that's kind of the whole debate. I mean, another guy like YB and Namir, I remember I texted you his 2nd single, Bounce Out with that, you know, a few months ago. And apparently he made the list already. And I feel like he was someone who should have been made to wait till next year, because Namir has like 2 nondescript SoundCloud albums. They're non-streaming. And then he had Rubbing Off the Paint, which got that Vince Staples remix. Then he had Bounce Out with that, get the Joey Badass remix. But those are his two hits, and he's just kind of a popular kid. He's like 17. I thought he was someone who should have waited, and he wasn't ready. But apparently they picked him.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing. Like you can kind of make a case for or against a lot of these guys when there's this many people in the running. But yeah, Namir made it, and I actually like him. I think he's good. He had a nice feature on a G-Eazy Lucy, 1942 or whatever it's called. So I think he's good. I just would have liked him to have they made him wait. Someone a little different though. JID. He's a Dreamville signing. He signed the J. Cole, and he's actually like a pure lyricist. He's not like these SoundCloud guys. He's kind of been around a long time, and his debut album, The Never Story, came out early last year in 2017. The song Never is really good. You've probably heard it in a commercial by now. So I'm kind of happy they would pick someone because he is definitely more obscure. He's kind of like a Tokyo pick, I guess you could say.
Interesting. So I mean, it sounds like they are trying to maybe give some younger people, some people not as established, a little bit more shines, bring them up a little bit sooner. It's interesting because I don't even think we talked about, or maybe you did, Designer's album that came out, but he was an XXL freshman, correct?
Yep, in 2016, same year as 21, Yachty, and all those big guys. Yeah, that album, LOD, 20 or mixtape, 20 minutes. Not very good. It's kind of like the New English. It's just Designer doing feature knockoff stuff. So, being on the list is by no means a guarantee that you'll improve as an artist, with the extra attention. So
interesting. So yeah, my point to that was just going to be that it seems like they're willing to take some more chances on people that could get bigger, to have the bigger hits out there than maybe just the people who are going to be established, solid projects for a while.
Right. And I think to that point, I think that pick this year is Smokepurpp. Apparently Smokepurpp's on the list. He's kind of like Lil Pump's boy, the way Ski Mask came up as X's boy. And I think Smokepurpp does basic generic SoundCloud trap pretty competently, right? But and Dead Star, his breakout tape, that was reviewed by Pitchfork. It's not like he's a no-name or anything, and he's really famous. Lil Pump really helped bring him up. But on the other hand, do you really think he's kind of like Nav. Do you ever, as XXL, do you really think Smokepurpp is ever going to get any better than he is right now? No. I mean, I feel like Smokepurpp is exactly what he is. And if he stays around, this is what he's going to be doing. So putting him on the list, what is that? Did Lil Pump say, I'll only do it if you put my boy on it? I guess. But I don't know. He seems like a wasted pick to me.
Yeah.
But apparently he made the list. Again, he has the fame. He has the clout. He's got part of it. But also projecting future success is part of this. And I don't really see much improvement from him. Yeah,
Smokepurpp is simultaneously the dumbest and kind of one of the coolest names I've ever heard. I go back and forth on it.
So speaking of an obscure pick, though, apparently from the leaks, we found out that Stefflon Don made the list. She's a British rapper. She's a little older. She's 26. She was recently featured on the Alone remix, the Halsey song.
Yeah.
She's in the video. And it's weird because she's been around a while, obviously given her age, but she only has one official release, an EP that came out earlier this year. And I was running it back, and I'm in a tight year, a lot of good picks. I'm not a big fan of this pick just because there's people that'll be passed over that I think were better options. So I'm kind of curious if the label schmoozed up and got her on the cover, because that is part of this. This is It's kind of like Oscar season. If you want to get on the list, you have to play ball with XXL. You have to go and shoot videos with them, and you have to want it. They don't
give them content,
right? So that's a curious one, but at the same time, that's someone who will greatly benefit from this pick because she's not that well known to the average fan. And while they've said time and time again that they don't have a quota for picking at least one white rapper, one female rapper, well, they do pick a female rapper. I think it's nice. Cardi B notably was not picked on this cover. And while I thought last year she shouldn't have been picked, she had 2 mediocre to bad tapes and some club hits, but that was it. And then literally a few months later, Bodak comes out, and I'm like, oh, now she's got not the big legitimate hit. She should be on XXL next year. And then she got way bigger. Now she's touring with Bruno Mars. So she quickly became a sophomore. Like she like skipped like the last semester. So yeah, she obviously would have turned. Well, I assume would turn this down.
Right.
But it's kind of weird how it goes that way, where like some really high profile, like she was in the conversation last year, but I think she was rightfully passed over. And I mean, look where we are now. She obviously is not a freshman anymore. It's just funny how it works out.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask about her because I remember talking last year how I think you said pretty much what you just said, that she didn't really have enough to make the cover, but someone to look for next year. And then, yeah, she definitely became way too big for something like this. Is there anybody else that was leaked or that we didn't get to for this?
Yeah, so we got T Grizzly, Ski Mask, Lil Pump, Black Boy, JID, Namir, Smokepurpp, Stefflon Don. That's 8. It's going to be 10. The one other leaked one, which I think is a good pick, a pick I would have went for, is Trippie Redd. Trippie Redd really kind of caught a buzz last summer, so he's kind of been maintaining it. Bust Down, I think, is a really good song, and Love Scars is pretty good too. And he's kind of a guy who like he'll rap, but he also sings, and he's kind of really unique in that regard. Some of his stuff just isn't very good, but overall, he's someone that I think will be around. Apparently, Drake wanted to work with him, and so yeah, I think Trippie Redd's a nice pick. He also is interesting because by picking Trippie Redd, you're making the sign that you're not picking 6ix9ine, because they have like major beef, and that kind of leads into the people that are getting passed over. 6ix9ine in particular, because I think XXL made a smart decision, much like how Spotify has decided to not promote R. Kelly and XXXTentacion in their playlists. XXL has decided, hey, if you're like involved in criminal shit or have accused of bad shit, we're not dealing with you on this cover. It's not worth the PR. So 6ix9ine, who has a laundry list of bad shit that he's done in a short amount of time, should not be on the list. And that's despite the fact that homie's got like 6 Billboard entries, like 4 top 50 hits. Like 6ix9ine has the fucking clout for this, but he's just too much negativity. Famous Dex, another one who didn't make the list last year. He was going to make the list last year, and then it came out that he like had a domestic violence issue with his girlfriend. They kicked him off. Then they were going to have him back on again this year. He did a pitch on their YouTube channel, and then he has on his Dex Meets Dexter tape about not being sorry for the allegation. So I'm like, fuck Famous Dex, get this guy the fuck out of here if he's going to like go back and be like, nah, I don't care if I hit my girl. Right. So, but again, like those are the kind of people that you cannot have on the cover in 2018. And also TK. Personally, TK doesn't have enough body of work for me, but The Race is a big song. People like him, but he's in jail right now on trial for capital murder. You cannot put him on the fucking cover.
No, cannot. Yeah. I think it's smart to stay away from that, especially like there's already going to be enough buzz about who gets passed over for their body of work, let alone like their personal issues coming into it. It's just smart to avoid that for XXL. Man, I mean, it sounds like a really strong year. I think last year was like a mediocre year for them, and this year
it was
like absurd.
Right.
Is this? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we haven't even made the 10th pick yet. But before we do that, speaking of more people that would be on it if they weren't shitty people, NBA Youngboy, or should I say Youngboy Never Broke Again. You know him from his Beast Mode feature on A Boogie's album, as well as NBA Youngboat on Lil Boat 2. But he also just released his debut album. He's on Atlantic. He's another guy who's got, I think, 6 like top 60 songs. He's got some big songs, but he's currently waiting trial for a domestic violence issue. And he also has a violent past, so they're just not going to put up with that.
Nah.
Also, I think someone who hasn't done anything wrong and is by all means a good guy, but just makes bad music and is not going to be on this list is Lil Xan.
I was going to ask about him.
Yes, like Betrayed, a big song, a song I actually like, but Total Xanarchy is tied for the worst reviewed album by Metacritic score of 2018.
What's it tied with?
I didn't recognize it. It's like 48 though. And so you had your buzz, you have your attention, you have a lot of fans now, but you already released a project that was total garbage. Why would we co-sign you expecting anything to change, assuming you last? So I don't think his pick would make sense anymore. Also, Bad Baby shouldn't make this list. While I kind of think Gucci Flip Flops is kind of hot, she's too new, doesn't
Yeah.
have official project yet. You have to make sure she's real about the hip hop, and maybe she is. Make her wait a little longer if that's the case. And she's 15, like she can wait. Similarly, Jaden Smith, Sire was really big. We weren't the biggest fans of Sire, but the production was pretty nice. Is Jaden Smith really about hip hop? If he is, make him wait. He doesn't have enough music.
One, I do not think he's about hip hop. I think he's about whatever vibe he's on that day. But two, I mean, Jaden Smith, how could he even be a freshman at this point? I guess because he hasn't released enough work. Like, seems like he's been around forever.
Well, he wouldn't be the oldest guy on the cover.
Right.
So he's pretty young. What is he, 20, 21?
Yeah, but again, it feels like he's been, I guess, in the culture for a long time.
Right. So that leaves the 10th spot. So apparently Little Skies turned it down, and Academics was kind of going in on this, about a month ago, where there's a whole miscommunication about like the list being rigged, and artists so Little Skies turned it down, as well as Rich the Kid, who are both worthy picks. I thought Little Skies was like the quintessential freshman this year. Like he had a really quick rise. He's headlining his own tours right now. He's got deep cuts on that mixtape, as well as 2 chart entries. Like I thought Little Skies was a perfect pick, and then he turned it down. And it was over the fact that they thought the list was rigged, and XXL was like, manipulating the fan vote. And like the whole time they've been doing this, it's XXL magazine will curate the first 9 guys, and the fans will vote on the 10th spot. And whoever has the most votes that XXL didn't already pick makes the list. That's how Jaron Benton made the list a few years ago, a guy who was signed to Hopsin and not famous at all. That's how Iggy Azalea made the list. That's how Lil Yachty made the list. That's how X made the list last year, despite being a shitty guy. Like, that's how the fan vote works. And I'm just kind of disappointed because I really like Little Skies and I wanted him to be on there. But alas, he turned it down, apparently. So the 10th spot, I think, should go to another guy who might get left off. He's not on the leak list. I really like him. I think he's a good pick. Wi-Fi's Funeral. He also fucking spits. He's a great rapper. The Boy Who Cried Wolf project was reviewed by Pitchfork last year. He's got the attention. He's another guy from Florida, the Florida hotbed, SoundCloud hotbed. So I think he would be my pick. But that would mean Rich Brian hasn't made the list. That would mean Cousin Stiz hasn't made the list. Little Baby from Atlanta is really hot right now. Just has that song with Drake. He wouldn't be on the list. IDK wouldn't be on the list. So this is a really tough year. Valet wouldn't be on the list. I think Valet maybe should wait another year, but he's in the convo. Puya, Maxo Cream. There's a lot of people in the running, and they're not all going to make it.
Well, definitely a strong year for XXL Freshman. I appreciate you breaking it down for me. I'm always surprised and enamored by the creativity of these names and by how much music I am not aware of all the time. Any last thoughts on this? Well,
speaking of creative names, another guy who I think has great potential but needs to wait a little longer, he signed the ASAP, is Smokey Margella.
I like that name.
That's a good name.